In this video, we're going to look at our radon system, how we went about installing it, and how it's worked for us so far. Radon is a radioactive particle that is in the soil, is constantly being released by the soil because basements, especially, are open areas. There's a pocket of low pressure. Particles will move from high pressure to low pressure, so it comes in through the soil and into the basement, and often will get trapped inside the house and circulated. With a radon system to create a cavity of low pressure underneath the slab to where radon will preferentially move there and be sucked up into the pipe, exhausted out the pipe out of the side or out of the roof, wherever you choose to do it. Down in the basement, I decided to make a large hole, and really helpful to use an actual concrete drill, which is what I have here. Thankfully, my brother had that, and we were able to borrow that. And I started by just drawing out a big circle about the size of a 55-gallon barrel, the diameter of that. And so I drilled a bunch of holes in a circle. And when I had all those drilled, I started to chip it out. And the idea of doing this hole down in the basement is that once I had all the concrete out of the way, I would be able to excavate a bunch of material from underneath the slab and create a big cavity down there where radon would want to move because it's an open area. And then I'll put a pipe in here and suck it out and exhaust it out of our house. So we have kind of a shop house style building, and so the first thing I had to do was bring it out from the hole up the wall and then into the shop, where in the shop is where I put the pump, and then I made a big exhaust pipe that went out of the shop and out the side wall of the building. Right here is where we took it up the wall and out the side, and so I had to chip away a bunch more concrete in order to get down in the basement. For me, what I found the best technique was, once you have your holes drilled, to put it into chisel mode and then to start chipping chunks of concrete out between the holes, and just keep doing that. That worked really well. If you try to drill all the holes and more holes, you can be drilling all day, but eventually you start chipping it away. And I was able to bring out some pretty big chunks, which is nice. And once you kind of get a hole through, it's easier to chip off pieces, which worked really well. So when we did this, our levels were above 8, and we were able to get them down to just above 3 with venting. And then as soon as I kicked this pump on, we were able to get them down around 1.2, which is pretty darn nice. Made a huge difference for us. The way that we can make this work even better is to create a bigger cavity underneath the slab. We have a relatively small home. It's a 20 by 30, and so I just did one big spot underneath the slab, and that's great. But if I want it to be even more effective, then the way that I would do that is to do something called stitching, which is where you drill another hole further out, and then you tie that into the other cavity. So if we're not happy with the long term, if it stays around that, we might consider doing a little bit of stitching. It's a lot of work drilling down into the concrete, so we'll just see how that goes. But this worked really well for us, and it cost us just a few $100s for the pump and for the pipe, and just some time and energy drilling through the slabs. Whereas if you're to pay a professional service to do that, you're out thousands and thousands of dollars. Given that they'll probably be able to get the area, the levels a little bit lower, but we're pretty happy with the way it worked. To cover up the hole in the basement, what we did, well, there's a couple things you can do. You can put gravel in there, and then you can have your pipe down the gravel, which can still draw air out, and then put concrete over the top. What I ended up doing was making a wire basket to cover the hole, and then to put some plastic on top, and I was able to just put the concrete over the top of that. And I put a little extra wire fabric around the end of the pipe just to make sure that I wasn't getting any large material in there, so that I had a nice big space underneath that. And that was pretty much it. It made a big difference for us. We're really happy with how it turned out, and we saved a bunch of money in doing it ourselves. So hopefully you found the video helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.